of the program when it first started was to provide students with content area tutoring with more of an academic support background so that the peer coaches would be trained to have an idea of what it entails to break down assignments and more of the other academic and study skills, as well as the content area that they'd be working. I think the big difference between a learning coach and a peer coach, and this is really what I explain to students, is I haven't taken every class as a learning coach. So for content area, I'm very limited in the areas that I can help a student with when it comes to content. So I would work more on students in those study skills. The other part of it is that I'm going to take more of an advanced role for students. Students who are struggling a little bit more than the average student. So the peer coaches would have a student who is kind of more nervous about the course per se, but they have some basic study skills. I would take a student that has a little less study skills and work on those before I would put them with a peer coach for the content area. A lot of the triage comes from filling out a peer coach request form. For a simple form, I get a lot of information. I get what the student is struggling with, as well as I get the hours and times, because that can make a difference as whether or not they're going to work with a peer coach or work with myself. I also will, if I'm still not sure and can't get a good feel, I'll call the student or email the student to kind of get a better idea of exactly what they're studying and what they're struggling with. And depending on what they say will depend on whether or not they work with myself or they work with a peer coach, or even if they work with the Director of Academic Support. When I was a student, because of the fact that I was constantly saying I would have liked to have somebody that would be able to help me with those things, that I could meet with, that understood where I was coming from, that was my peer. So I can remember talking about that as a student, being in your office and just kind of going, I need somebody to help me with my content, and especially for content that you wouldn't be expected to be an expert at, and that would be okay.
It was pretty much just me then too.
Yeah, exactly. So, it made a big difference. And it gave me more options. I mean, it would have given me more options as a student to get the help that I needed. When it's one person or three people who are the only source for thousands of students, that really limits time and things like that. But being able to broaden the program and open it up to peers that truly lived through that exact same course that you're struggling with, so they completely understand and can empathize, that I think is something that's unique, that I don't think anybody else in the academic support team could do. So I really think that's why this is such an invaluable program.
Beautiful.
The CRLA process was, it was rewarding and torturing all in the same sense. It was very rewarding because I got to see a lot of the results on paper, and we were able to crunch numbers. We had to really put the program together in a concise and clear way. And so it was nice to be able to see the program that you've kind of really helped develop all the way from the beginning in this program that's now really truly developed. It's not just an idea. It was torturous in the fact that it was just a very long and tedious process. So it is very difficult to also think about every minute part and every minute thing that you do when you do it every day. The most rewarding moment, I think, is when I see a peer coach and they've been working with a student and they're able to then talk to me in a colleague kind of a way. So it really is kind of a neat thing to be able to do, whereas a year ago, I don't think that confidence was there or that independence was there. Now I can talk to them and problem solve and really help them grow, and I can see them grow while they're working with students and see how they're much more comfortable working with students, and they're more capable of dealing with situations that I think a year ago they may have kind of just backed away at. Now they're more willing to jump in, and I like that. I like the fact that I can talk to them about stuff like that.
Great. What's been your most frustrating moment doing this peer
coaching? Peer coaches have changed actually quite a bit. They're more confident. They're a lot more independent than they were when they first started. They tend to be more secure in their roles, and they're also willing to take on more challenges and more roles. This year we've added drop-in hours to our schedule, and they were ready and willing to jump right in and help students, and that was a completely different format than what they're used to. They're used to one-on-one appointments, and this was more of an open-ended who knows who's going to come. So they actually had to deal with multiple students at multiple times. The only thing that I had to make was that the future of where I want the program to go. I mean, at this point, I think that the peer coaches that I have are pretty invested, and they really enjoy the program. 2 of them are going to be graduating this June, so that will be an interesting situation, and they've both asked if they can continue even after graduation. So that's a definite perk for the program. And in that, I want to see them, you know, conducting workshops and getting more and more involved with students, having maybe possibly more drop-in hours so that they're regularly here and that students can meet on a specific topic area for a particular class that's occurring and have drop-in hours.